Today on the Sartorial Chef, it's classic salads updated, beginning with a Hawaiian take on a chicken salad with pineapple and red onion, and an Asian slaw featuring ginger and sesame oil. Next, it's my 4-bean salad with an apple cider vinaigrette. And for dessert, it's my whipped berry salad with 4 berries and a cream cheese mousse. So pull up a chair and dine with me.
The Sartorial Kitchen, guys. Today is Classic Salads Updated, and I'm beginning with chicken salad. Now chicken salad, it's usually mayonnaise and it's onions and celery and all this, and I thought why not do something a little interesting with the flavors and change it up a bit. So I'm doing a Hawaiian chicken salad, and I'm going to start by making a marinade. Okay, so for the marinade I have some soy sauce here, and I'm going to do about a half a cup of the soy sauce. I know that's a lot, but we've got a lot of chicken here that we're doing. I'm also doing some brown sugar here, about 1/4 cup. And then I've got some ginger, and I've got some garlic. I'm just going to cut this ginger in half. And the thing about ginger is you do not want this skin here on the outside, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel that. Now you can buy ginger in your produce section. They also have it where it's canned and it's already like sliced. You can always go that route if you want, but I prefer the fresh ginger myself. I'm just taking my knife back and forth here over the ginger, cutting it into nice little pieces. And that's going to go into my marinade. Next is the garlic. Again, you can also buy garlic in the jar where it's already minced. You can even buy like the seasoning garlic. I prefer fresh myself. When I'm doing a marinade, I just find that it's better. And we just want to get all the skin off of here. And the trick to garlic, you just want to take your knife and give it a good smack. That's going to break the garlic open. That's going to get the rest of the skin off. Going to go back and forth with our knife and mince our garlic up. And I'm just doing 2 cloves of garlic. Garlic is pretty strong here. Just like the ginger, we don't need a whole lot of it. Okay, that's the garlic. And for a little heat, I've got some sriracha here, tablespoons, not too much. If you like it hot, you can add more. Again, this is just for a marinade. And then we're going to roast the chicken later on in the oven. So, some salt now. A few dashes of salt and a few dashes of pepper. And then we're just going to whisk this up real quick. We want to incorporate all the ingredients evenly into our marinade. And it is already smelling absolutely delicious, you guys. Okay. Now I've just got some chicken here. You can do any kind of chicken you like. You want to get the chicken breast or you want to do the bone on. I'm doing the tenders because it's going to be easier to incorporate the marinade into the... We're going to come in here with clean hands, and I'm just going to go through here and kind of massage the marinade into the chicken. Make sure I get all of it covered. And it's already smelling. And now we're just going to wash our hands, guys. Anytime you're working with raw meat, especially chicken, you want to avoid cross-contamination. So it's very good to thoroughly wash. Alright, I've just got a Ziploc bag here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour our chicken in here. Make sure you get all of that beautiful marinade, guys. You want a nice bag that you can seal shut. Make sure you get all the air out. That's really going to help this marinade. And then I'm just going to wrap this guy tightly and we're going to throw it in the fridge. Now this is really best if you leave it overnight. but 4 to 6 hours is going to do just as good. And then we'll move on to my next dish. See you guys later. Okay guys, we are back. I've got my chicken here. It's been about 6 hours, and you can see it's really taken on that marinade nicely. So I've gotten a sheet pan out here. We're going to bake this chicken in the oven. I'm just going to line it with some foil. This is going to keep it from sticking to the pan and making a mess. The last thing we want. And I've got some tongs, and I'm just going to pull this chicken out. I've got about 6 strips here. What I like about the strips, they're not going to take as long in the oven, so we can get those cooked off. Now I'm pulling the chicken out individually. I've got about 6 strips here. I do not want to just dump this all out and get all this marinade all over, because the marinade is going to cook differently than the chicken, and it's going to it's really going to burn, and it's going to create like a bitter flavor for the chicken. So I just wanted the chicken by itself, and you can see it's really taken on that marinade nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead and plop this in the oven. I have got my oven set to 400. And the chicken, depending on the size of the chicken, if you do like whole breast or, you know, whatever, it's going to be about 22 to 25 minutes. Now these are smaller pieces, they're strips. So I'm going to start with about 18 minutes. So I'm going to show you a really quick dressing for the Asian slaw. And then I've just got a bag of coleslaw here, and we're just going to toss it all together. So I've got some rice wine vinegar. To start, we're going to do about a half a cup of the rice wine vinegar. Now I like the rice wine vinegar for this. You can use apple cider, you can use distilled. I wouldn't use like red wine or anything like that. And then to give this a little nutty flavor, I've got some sesame oil. And the sesame oil is a little strong. It's a really strong nutty flavor, so I'm just going to do a few tablespoons of the sesame oil. I've got some brown sugar here. We're just going to do a couple pinches of the brown sugar. That's going to just give it a little sweetness. And I've got the rest of my ginger here. We're not going to use all of this. I'm going to go back and forth. You get nice little minced pieces. Again, raw ginger is very strong, so you want to kind of mince it really good. Nothing worse than biting into a huge piece of raw ginger. Okay, that's looking good. I'm just going to throw that in. Again, we're just going to mince the garlic. Again, with the garlic, you want nice small pieces. Nothing worse than biting into a huge piece of raw garlic. Alright, and that's going to go in. Nice. Get a little bit of this garlic. Very nice. Okay. Then we're going to season it. I've got some salt here. We're just going to do a little dash of salt, a little dash of pepper. Again, to bring a little heat to the party. This time we're just going to do about a teaspoon of the sriracha. And some celery seed. That is really going to bring this all together. We're going to do about a teaspoon of the celery seed. It's just going to help really bring all these flavors together. And then I'm just going to whisk this up. And there we have our dressing for the slaw. Alright. So I've just got a tiny bag of slaw here. Now you can always do your own if you want. You want to like red cabbage, different kind of cabbages, and try them yourself. But what's nice about this, it's already shredded for you, and this bag is about the portion I need for my slaw. So I'm just going to dump this in. And then we're just going to take our tongs and we're going to toss this together. Now again, like with the marinade earlier on the chicken, this slaw really does good if you let it sit for a little while before you eat it. I kind of prefer it that way. It kind of softens the cabbage a little bit. But you know, if you like the texture of the cabbage, you know, nice crunch. I mean, it's really just up to you. I'm gonna get this out of the bowl here. Make sure we get all this incorporated, and it's just a nice. Going to be a nice little side dish for our chicken. I just got a nice little bowl here, and I'm going to go ahead and dish up my slaw. Nice heaping bowl of slaw. I like to use the clear bowls. It's good presentation. You can just kind of see all around what's going on here. And before the chicken comes out, we're going to give this baby a little taste. Okay, we're going to give this guy a little taste here. You guys, yeah. The cabbage has a nice texture to it. I get the nuttiness from the sesame oil. I got the sweetness from the brown sugar. So good. Perfect side dish to our chicken. Alright guys, I think we are ready to check our chicken here. Woo! Get a nice little facial from the oven. Alright, I'm just going to check this guy here. We are looking for 1/6. I like to take the biggest piece, the biggest part of the biggest piece, because that's going to give us our most accurate reading. And yes, we are at 165. We are good to go. And I'm just going to let the chicken cool off here while I assemble the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to start with some crushed pineapple. This is Hawaiian chicken salad, so I'm doing some different ingredients here. Now you could use whole pineapple if you want, like chunks, or you could even get like a fresh pineapple and cut it up. I just need a very little bit here, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump it in. I like to just run my knife down the middle like that. And then I just come back this way and give it a nice rough chop. Nice even sized pieces. Okay, that's going to go into the bowl with our pineapple. And I didn't drain the pineapple, I wanted that juice in there. That's going to really enhance our dressing. So there's that. And then I've also got a red onion here. I'm only going to use about half the red onion. First, you just want to cut off this bit here. And then the hairy end, you're going to cut that in half. I'm going to save half of this for another day. And this half here is going to go into our dressing. Now when you cut it this way, what's nice is the peel just comes right off. You just pull it back and right off it comes. You want to come in here like this from the side, and you're going to score the onion. Then you're going to come back long ways. You're going to cut it into nice little strips. And then again, and just come down like that, and you get nice little bite-sized pieces of onion. If you just turn the onion over and continue to dice, you can get the rest of the slices out of that. And this is going to go right into the bowl. I'm going to lay the chicken on my cutting board here. And it's still good and warm, but it's nice and cooled down enough now that we can handle it without burning our hands. And you can just see the chicken has got a gorgeous caramel color to it. And what I'm going to do with the chicken, I'm going to do it very similarly to the celery. I'm going to go down the middle here like so. And just cut them into smaller. And then we're just going to come back and we're going to dice the chicken. Nice decent sized cubes. too big, not too small. Kind of like, you know, medium-sized pieces. And this is just about 1.5 pounds of chicken. Since it's just me, I don't need to make a huge batch of it. Alright, onto the dressing. Now, keeping in tradition with the chicken salad, I am using mayonnaise here. This is just regular old mayonnaise here. Now, you could do, if you want to do like a flavored mayonnaise, I wouldn't suggest Miracle Whip. That's more of a sandwich spread, and that's going to give you a different result here. But yeah, any kind of mayonnaise you like. And we're just going to, I'm going to get about a cup here. That looks pretty good. Alright, and I've got my celery seed out. We're going to bring this guy back. Again, about a couple tablespoons. And a little salt. A few dashes of salt. A few dashes of pepper. We're just going to come in and give this a good stir. We just want to incorporate the mayonnaise evenly with all the ingredients. And what's nice, the mayonnaise, it's kind of thick, but once it gets a hold of that, little bit of that juice from the crushed pineapple, it's going to kind of thin it out. And instead of being like a thick mayonnaise, it's going to make it more like a dressing. Of course, you can always just eat it as is in a bowl, or you want to do crackers or something. I know some people like to do that. But I thought it would be fun to make little mini sandwiches. So I've just got some little Hawaiian rolls here, keeping in theme, of course. And I'm just going to give these a little slice in half. I think 2 sandwiches will be good. So I'm just going to take our salad here, and I'm just going to spoon some of that right onto my sandwich. Like so. And then I'm going to get myself some of this Asian slaw. I tasted it earlier, but I've been letting it sit here. And it's just going to be lovely. And here's a nice little, fun little side dish and sliders. Let's give the chicken salad a good taste here. Mmm. Mmm. Nice. Yeah, the mayonnaise, you know, it's seasoned well. The pineapple gives it, adds a nice sweetness, and then you've got the crunch of the vegetables. Just, Also plays nicely with the sweetness of the Hawaiian bread. I love it. The slaw is delicious. I'm going to come in and get some more of the slaw. Okay, guys. Next, we're going to move on to my 3 beans. Okay, guys, continuing with our updated salads theme. I'm tackling 3 bean salad, but I'm actually making 4 beans. You can use whatever kind of beans you like. I wanted a variety of color and texture, so I've got 4 different beans here. I'm going to start with some cannellini beans. And this is just like a nice Mediterranean kind of bean. They're a little on the bigger side here. They're kind of like oval shaped. And they're kind of just like a nice kind of off-white color. I've also got some pinto beans here. The pinto beans, you'll usually see in Mexican cooking with like refried beans or like a Mexican hash or something. They can also be used on like a chili or a soup. I'm just going to dump those in. Those are kind of like a nice brick, kind of a brick color. And I just, I really like nice, colorful salads. I like different colors and different textures. I've got some kidney beans here. There's like a nice kind of reddish purplish. Again, we want to drain all these beans. We don't need all the liquid of the beans. And lastly, green beans. And I know green beans are not incredibly typical in a bean salad. It's usually like similarly shaped beans, and I'm usually all about everything being the same size so it eats the same. But I think the green beans are going to just give it something a little different. Now to these beans, for a little more color and a little more texture, I'm taking the rest of my red onion here. We're just going to peel the skin off. Now last time I diced the onion, but I thought to play on the textures of the green bean, how it's kind of like longer beans, I'm going to do sliced onions. So again, you're just going to have your onion, and then instead of all the maneuvering I did to dice them earlier, I'm just going to come across like so, and cut them into nice little kind of semicircles, and then I'm just going to throw those in. And I know some people are weird about raw red onions, and here we want to take out these little core pieces. They're not as good, they're not minced. Make sure we get all of this. First I'm going to do some seasoning to the beans. I've got some garlic here. This is minced garlic. Now, I didn't want to use the fresh garlic like I did earlier. This one is like really finely minced, you can see, and it's kind of comes in its own little liquid. And I'm just going to do about half a tablespoon, not even that much, because again it's really strong, we only need so much of it. And then I've got some celery seed here. We're going to do a few teaspoons of the celery seed. And then I've got just a few dashes of salt, a few dashes of pepper. Now for the dressing, we're going to do half a cup of sugar. I've just got some apple cider vinegar here. This one is with honey. That's going to play into the sweetness of the sugar and the red onion. And it's just equal parts vinegar and equal parts sugar. So we got a half cup of the sugar. We're going to do a half cup of the vinegar. Get my whisk out and get down in here. We're just going to stir this up nicely. And again, it's okay to have a little bit of the liquid from the beans, because that's really just going to go into the dressing. You just don't want too much liquid. And you can dice, you want to dice up the beans, you want to dice up the onions, that's up to you. I just thought it would be a nice contrast here. And that is nice and mixed in. Dive right in. So good, guys. The beans give it a nice texture. You got the crunch of the onion. The dressing is nice and sweet. You got that little bit of acidity from the vinegar playing nicely with the seasonings. So good. Perfect. Little spring, summer potluck salad, cookout, barbecue, picnic. Lastly is dessert, and it is going to be my luscious whipped berry salad. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least is my whipped berry salad. Now this is another great spring, summer dish, especially when the berries are in season. You can use any kind of berries you like, but I've just got 4 berries here. I've got some blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and some strawberries. And I've got my bowl here. First, I'm just going to open the berries up here, and I'm just going to dump them in. It's about a pint each. Going to cut these strawberries up. And the strawberries, I just take the tops off. There's not much you can do with the tops. And then I stand them up, and then I kind of just go at them like this. Depending on their size, you can get like 4 to 6 pieces. The smaller ones you're probably only going to get 4 out of like that. The bigger ones you can kind of come in like so. Okay, that is our strawberries. I just take the tops and throw them in here, and then you are ready to go. And our strawberries are going to go right into the mix. And I love this salad. Berries are nice and fresh this time of year. It gives a nice freshness. So it's kind of a nice, healthier dessert. Now, I'm making a cream cheese mousse for the berries, and that's really sweet. Whipped cream. But the cream cheese I feel plays nice with the berries. It's a nice kind of tang. But to cut through some of the sweetness, I thought lime. And I've got a microplane here. And we're just going to zest this lime. Just the zest of one lime. And, yeah, just the one zest. That's about a tablespoon, maybe a little less. And when you're zesting the lime, you want to make sure you just get just the top of the lime here. You don't want to go too far down because that's when it gets bitter. And then come to this guy here and just get zest in there. That's going to really cut through some of the sweetness, give it a nice zing. And then I'm going to cut through the lime here. I'm going to give it a nice little squeeze. I'm going to get that juice out of here. What that juice is going to do is it's going to kind of break down our berries a little bit. And just really bring out their natural flavors. And it's also going to give a nice tang. And then I'm going to do just a teensy little pinch of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. The salt too, I know people are weird about salt in desserts. I like salt in desserts. I think it's important. Salt, when used correctly, can really bring out the flavor of any ingredient. And used sparingly, I think it does very well here. And then I'm just going to give our berries a little stir here. And get that zest well incorporated. Alright everybody, for my mousse here, I've got out my handy dandy food processor. Now normally if I'm doing like a whipped cream or something, I'll just take the whisk out and do it by hand. It's, you know, no big deal. But since I'm doing the cream cheese with it, the cream cheese, I have let it get to room temperature. The thing about cream cheese is it's kind of hard to work with. So the food processor really helps here. And I'm just going to pour the heavy whipping cream in first. And this is just a 1/2 pint. Now you could always do a whole pint if you're wanting to like double the recipe. But I'm just making a little for myself right now. And then we're just going to do a 1/2 block of this cream cheese here. And that's really, all you need is a 1/2 block. Now again, if you're doubling the recipe, you do a whole block of cream cheese here. And to help this break down even further, I'm just going to cut it into cubes, about 4 cubes here. The food processor is really going to be great about breaking this down. And what's nice about the cream cheese, it's going to give some nice body to the dish, but it's also, the cheese itself is going to give it a nice little tang. So it's not just all one note, you know, with the berries and everything being sweet. Now, I'm going to do some vanilla extract here. I like to use the good vanilla. And I just use the cap to measure. It's about a 1/2 teaspoon. And I'm going to do 2 of those. Instead of getting out little measuring spoons and all that and creating more dishes, it's just easier that way. And then lastly, some sugar. 1/2 cup of sugar. And again, if you're doubling the recipe, it's going to be a whole cup. Make sure we get all that off the top here. Okay. And then we just put our lid on here and give it a nice pulse. I don't want to over mix it. The thing with the food processor, the heavy cream, you don't want to over mix because it's going to get real stiff and it's not going to work as well with the berries. You just want to do a few more pulses. And you can kind of check it. It's actually looking pretty good. This is kind of the consistency you want, nice and soft. And you can always buy like the cream cheese, the softened cream cheese, and the flavored cream cheeses. Sometimes I've done this with Philadelphia makes that like strawberry whipped cream cheese. Sometimes I kind of cheat and use that. But for you guys, I'm going all out. We're just going to take the blade out here. And do be careful taking the blade out. It's very sharp. What I like about this one is it has this nice top on it, so you can kind of pull it out easily. And then I'm just going to scoop this out. Make sure we get every last bit of this out. We don't want to leave any behind. It's so good. Now, what's great about this whipped cream cheese here I'm making, it also works good as like a fruit dip. If you're ever doing like a fruit platter or something, put this out as a fruit dip. It is delicious. It's also a good pie topping if you don't want to do like a meringue or just a typical whipped cream. So those are just some options for you guys. And it's very simple to make. I mean, it took me literally a minute. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to fold the berries into this. What you don't want to do, you don't want to like grab a whisk and go hard with this. It's going to deflate the whipped cream. So I'm just going to get at the bottom here and scoop the berries up on top and then kind of fold them in. And you also don't want to like break up the berries using like a whisk or anything like that. So I just take them and just kind of fold them. What's also nice is like the raspberries and the strawberries, they break down a little bit from that lime. And it kind of gives you a really beautiful color here. So the cream cheese kind of gets this pink hue to it, and it's great. Now, I mean, you can always do like food coloring or something if you want to get a different color on it. But I like to, you know, kind of stay natural with my food. So, there's that. Now, if it's for, you know, picnic or something, you want to be mindful, you know, if it's really hot out, this is going to melt. The whipped cream and the cream cheese is eventually it's gonna get soupy on you. So you do want to keep it chilled, you want to keep it on ice, or you want to keep it like in the shade. And then I like to get like a fun little bowl and display it. And I'm going to grab a spoon here. Got my trusty tasting spoon, guys. And I'm just going to come in here and get a nice big old helping of this. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely delicious. You get a nice burst of sweetness from the fruit. That lime kind of creeps in. Nice acidity cuts through the sweetness. The mousse on its own, it's incredibly sweet. But with the salt and the lime and things, it really all comes together and it's just a nice, healthy alternative to a summertime dessert. So you guys, that has been Salads with the Sartorial Chef. If you enjoyed today's meal, please like, share, and comment at the bottom as always. And until next time, this is the Sartorial Chef signing off.